in town for the Civil War show, and we appreciate everything you do for the club. And Butch also, did you?
Yeah, there's a
donated-
subscription.
Donated a subscription tonight. We're gonna give away that later, a year subscription to the American Digger magazine. So we're gonna go ahead and let Butch start with your presentation if you'd like.
Hey,
This is gonna be the most interesting slideshow you guys have ever seen.
Hey, you should have brought your instrument anyway, you could have played.
I could at least play it instead of showing pictures. But if y'all wanna check out the magazine, sign up for it. The young lady with me is Debbie Schiffer-Blades. She's our marketing
For what now?
director.
To your ad
She's
in the
standing in
magazine.
for Anita
Okay,
during this
okay.
trip,
We're
so
actually in Milton,
you-
Milton
she's got
Speaking Club,
subscription
but
forms are also gonna be
Okay,
set up
okay.
at the show. And also Bill Dancy's new book, which I published for him, we've got those for sale too. It's Uncovering Virginia's Early Sites. It's all colonial artifacts. It's like a day-by-day diary of him digging stuff, so we got some of those with us, and also gonna have some at the show, so.
How
Any
much
of
is
that-
that? How much is that? Bud?
That's 59, I believe. 59, it is, it's,
You sell, like, since you mentioned that, you sell several other of those types of books, don't you?
yeah, I co-authored Charlie Harris's book. We've got some of them at the show. There's been 5 or 6 that I've actually put together for people like this, and I put my heart into them. They're pretty books, if nothing else,
Yeah,
so.
they are.
And, I can't tell people enough, how do you find out about artifacts? Buy the books. If it's not mine, hey, this book right here is by my competitor, Steve Sylvia. That's one heck of a book. So, I've got a copy of it, but buy books. So on to the most interesting slideshow. We've been having some technical difficulties. A lot of these are not even gonna play it. I'm sorry about that, but I'll try to go through it here. Now, okay, hold on. Okay, American Digger, yeah, people on Facebook know, but y'all know about American Digger Goes to England 2023, as most people heard of it. We've never been to England before, I've never been. So we arranged a place that's actually near, I'll probably mispronounce this, but it's within 10 miles of Sutton Ho.
Sutton who?
Sutton Ho.
Sutton who?
What she said. And that's the Saxon burial, where they buried a guy in a ship, the whole ship. And the place we were at has seen very little metal detecting. And we were actually invited there on a tour. We had 12 people from myself and my wife were there from American Digger. The rest of the people had signed on to the tour to come hunting with us. We're hoping to do it in 2024, but we're gonna have to wait and see. It'll be announced our January issue, what we're gonna do. But with that said, and also if you wanna Google this, you can Google American Digger Goes to England, or also the Clampetts Go to London. It's pretty much the same thing. In fact, I got on the airplane there, and I was kind of embarrassed that I didn't replace my styrofoam cooler with the duct tape for some luggage, but hey, we got there. So anyway, I'm gonna show the pictures I can. The ones I can't, we're just gonna have to kind of deal with it. But to start out, this is the Tower of London. Anybody that's ever read the history knows about the Tower of London, and the place has been there forever. Oops, what's going on?
You're driving.
I'm driving. Okay, this is the Tower of London. Oh. I can't ever come back, can I? Okay. We've seen that one. Oh, okay, I have no idea what's going on here.
Cannot play.
This is rather embarrassing. Anyway, let me try this again. You put on my glasses, that might help. Okay. Let's see if we can do this again without it. Okay, I think it's gonna work. And this at the Tower of London, this is actually where they brought the prisoners in for the Tower of London. And they would actually bring the people in by barge. And to get in this entrance here, which was really rat infested from what I understand, they actually had to pass under the bridge. And on the bridge, to help discourage future criminals and all, they would hang the heads of the people that had been recently executed. So these people would come down the river, they would see all these heads hanging there, and then they'd basically enter the gates of hell here. So anyway, see if I can do this. Okay, there's right in front of there, excuse me. This is really a challenge. We stood at the Tower of London and looked down on the Thames River, and it's about a 20-foot drop, and the tide was out. And when we looked down, this picture, you can't tell a lot from it, but in that picture are 2 pieces of pottery and at least half a pipe bowl. That was 20 feet down, so I might have jumped down there to get them, but I wasn't gonna get back up, so. Anyway, those stayed there. However, one of our group, Jeff Lubert, if this will play, it won't. If you can see this picture right here on the left, I know that's hard to see, but that's pipe stems and pottery, and he found that within about an hour on the other side of the river. So you're technically supposed to have a permit to do that, but he said when he was down there, there were tourists walking the beaches doing the same thing. So, anyway, and speaking of Jeff Lubert, this was his date for Monday night. These girls were all headed to a ABBA concert, which you can see Jeff, he's quite the ladies' man, and he's my co-host on Relic Roundup. Speaking of which, Debbie is our new co-host too. So anyway, cannot play, all right? The next picture is a coin. Can you describe that coin for us, Mike?
It's round.
It is. That, if I'm not mistaken, that is a, well, it's too small to see, I know. But the coins we found, there were 4 or 5 hammered silvers. I got one, 1572. I think 6 Roman coins. There was a gold medieval coin found, and then a bunch of other cool stuff, including a ring from medieval times. So hopefully we're gonna get to see some of those. Like I say, you bear with me, okay, that's not one of them. Here, hopefully this one will play. This is my coin, my best coin. Cannot play. 1572 silver. I'm sorry, I do not know what has happened to it. Okay, this was a seal that one of the people found, a matrix seal. And this is actually done backwards so you can read it, but it says Joseph. And one of the guys on our group was named Joseph, so he just had a fit over seeing this. And that's probably medieval. Okay, I'm just gonna go through some of it. Dadgummit. I don't know what has happened to the slides, projectors, but this has been a problem. And I apologize profusely. Okay. This thing on the right, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there was a lot of World War II activity where we're at too. This was found in a Roman camp. I found it, but it's a World War II Grenadiers insignia, the one with the flaming bomb. Like some people call them the flaming peapots, but it's solid silver. The guys in England had never even seen one of these. Also, let me point out up to the left, unfortunately, that's one of the slides that won't play, I believe. But that is actually Roman, and it's, I think they call it a zoophile pot leg, but what it is, it's actually an animal figurine. And if I could blow this up, which I can't, that's a dragon, and it looks really, really cool. That's one of the things the archaeologists are still studying over there. Okay. I cannot explain this. This is Jeff Lubert for Relic Roundup. That's him holding a Roman coin that he had found. I didn't find a Roman coin, but I found 4 hammered coins, including the Jetton, and I found all but one on the last day. So.
How deep were they?
How deep were they? One of them, the 1500s coin I dug, couldn't have been more than 2 inches deep. There was one, actually one of the guys in a Roman camp we were in, he dug a coin and it had to be over a foot deep, and it was like a King George copper. So, you know, you never know, but now where we were at was very near the North Sea, and it was all sand. It was like digging at the beach. It's the most amazing. It's one of these places you really didn't need a shovel if you wanted to just kick dirt aside, which I blew out a shoe doing that, but we'll talk about that later. Unfortunately, I really wanted to show y'all this one, and I can't, but that's the gold coin that was found. And this is really a cool thing. The property owner wanted to buy that gold coin because, you know, it came from his estate. And the guy didn't really want to sell it, but finally they agreed on he would give him half the market price. The market price on that coin was only about $800. And the guy that found it, I guess, you know, he didn't need the money that bad. He says, if it means that much to you, I'll give it to you. So he gave that to the property owner. But good things come back around because his son turned around and found that same coin online, graded and bought it for his father. So, you know, things go around. Let's see if we can get another picture. These are Roman coins. If they'll come up, they won't. But those two on the left are Roman coins. This one here, can't play it. But these are actually, if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember, but the coins on the bottom are actually hammered coins. And I think the ones on top are probably a little bit newer, which in England means 16 to 1700s. Beyond that, they don't even talk about it. Let's see if we can get a picture. We can't get a picture there, okay. And I apologize, I've never had this problem before. Okay. This is a medieval, well, was a medieval locket. I think that's like jet stone or something like that, isn't it? This was actually found before we got there. We can't play it either. It is actually a seal with I believe it's a ruby in the center of it. It's like a matrix seal, you know, like wax seal kind of stuff. This is actually lead gutters from the church. Now the church that's there, and hopefully I can show you the picture in a few minutes. But the church, all that's left of it is just one wall. Because it was the Priory Church. It was built in 1100. By the 1500s, King Henry VIII, I believe it was, had a dislike for this particular function or church or something. He ordered it dismantled, the monks were relocated somewhere, and all the lead from the church was salvaged for scrap metal. And we call this a lead field. Like I say, that's two gutters right there. But in that field, it seemed like 9 out of 10 signals were pieces of lead. The rest of it was the gold coin came from there, 2 Roman coins came from there. I found what I thought was a drawer pull. It was just a circle. And I basically threw it in with my junk, and I was showing our guy the other day. He said, no, that's forgotten what he called it, but it's a buckle that holds a quote together, like a round buckle. So, and you're in England, you don't throw anything away. Okay, let's see if we can get another picture, get lucky. No, we cannot. We're gonna take up bets on which pictures will play, and I apologize. Cannot play, okay. But this is actually one of the dinners, and I'm sorry y'all are looking at little thumbnails here. But this tour that we went on is different from most of the England tours because most of them, they put you up in a barn, they'll feed you English food for dinner, some of them feed you breakfast. This place had a gourmet chef that fed us every night. And here's the menu, it probably won't play either. But the menu, like that one right there, it looks like a menu out of a $1,000 French restaurant or something. It's just unbelievable. So anyway, I probably gave some away. This guy probably won't play. That won't play. This guy was an archaeologist who gave us a talk one night. Now we're used to archaeologists talking down to us. You know, you're a pot hunter and you're a clad hunter, and you know, y'all are treasure hunters and blah, blah, blah. This guy, he was just wide-eyed and bushy-tailed about what metal detectors do for archaeology. And he was so pro-detecting, I couldn't believe it. We're hoping to get him on one of the relic rounds up to talk one night about it. But he said by teaching all of us detectors what these objects are, like that circle thing I found, stuff is preserved because a lot of detectors throw it away as junk. He was telling us what all this stuff was and how important it was. So I wish the archaeologists in this country could do that. Okay, we're gonna try this one here, unfortunately. Okay, this is a gold hoard that was found right off the property. I don't know how many coins are there, but, coins and pottery shards. Has anybody seen the detectorist in here? Okay, a lot of y'all have seen the detectorist. Okay, well, they filmed that very close to here. And let's see if the full picture will come up, maybe, maybe not. Cannot play. That article says fool's gold because what the guy had found was where they had filmed detectorist. And it was the scene where the plow digs up all the gold coins. And they really thought, this was one of our guides, they really thought they had found a gold hoard. He said they sat there on the ground and talked about which cars they were gonna buy, which mortgages they were gonna pay off, and they didn't find out till the next day they were fake. Anyway, so be it for that, and of course, we have another one here that probably won't come up. And I had a picture of the actual tree, but, okay, in detectorist, many of the scenes are filmed around an oak tree. Guy took me down the road while I was taking a break from detecting, one of our guides, great guy named Andy. He says, see if this tree looks familiar, mate. And I'm looking at him. Sorta, it's an oak tree. He said, you see detectors? And that was that tree. And it's within 2 miles of where we were detecting, which I thought was really cool. We can't play this one either. That is all that's left of the church. It's just an arch. And speaking of which, don't fret too bad if you can't see any of these, because actually, in January, February, American Digger magazine, there's a whole article. There's actually 2 articles. You get to see all this in there, and I apologize profusely. This is the gatehouse. We can't play it either. But you can't tell it from that picture, obviously, but this was built around 1200. It's still in use. That's where the archaeologist gave his talk, but all in the front there, that black stuff you see, that is actually knapped flint. There's flint all over the place there. And they took the trouble to actually knap that flint flat. It's beautiful. You see it close up, it's like, wow. I just really, really wish these were playing, but obviously they aren't. Okay, let's see. Okay, up the top left here, this is the view. Hey, work. This is the view of the room that I stayed in. That was one of the hunt fields right behind it. Now, a lot of these tours, they will take you out, they will leave you out in the field, you know, leave you there all day and then come back and get you at night. I could detect out there, come back into my room to use the restroom or whatever I need to do, and then go back out in the field. And that was just unbelievably convenient. And this right here was built in the 1700s, so even it's not new where we were staying at. Let's see. Okay. This is one of the hunt fields. Right there, there were tons of hunt fields. I mean, we had all kinds of places to hunt. And let's see. Okay, that one right there is actually my 1500s coin coming out of the ground up there. This is the farmhouse where we stayed at. Okay, this one, you see everybody together around here. This is where all the Roman coins were found. And this is a Roman camp, and they also believe it's actually part of a battlefield between the Romans and the Saxons. Or I think it was the Saxons. But anyway, it might be the Vikings, but it's old stuff. I mean, they don't want to come over here and dig our stuff because it's too new. Okay, this is the lead field, and oops, here we go again. Mike, I thought you had fixed this. I give Mike a hard time because he's one of my best buddies. Okay. The lead field, this is where I was talking about earlier, all the lead was salvaged and put out there. A gold coin was found probably 100 feet in front of that guy to the right. So that's where the gold coin came from. I walked right by it, going back to my room to take a break. So, you know, it doesn't take but inches. It's a game of inches what we do. Okay, this is another one of the hunt fields. That's another one of the hunt fields. Okay, that won't play. and another hunt field, and look at how nicely plowed all this stuff is. And like I say, it was sand. We were so close to the, in fact, if you look at the horizon, you can't see the ocean, but about where the horizon is there is where the ocean started. So they said when it floods there, it actually comes close to where we were hunting, almost all the way inland. Okay, let's see what else we got. It'll play. I can't apologize enough over this. Okay, let's see if we can get any of these to come up. Okay, I'll come back to that picture in a moment. Yeah, that picture has a story. Okay, the guy you see right there is holding this ring to the right. This is a medieval ring. Oops, won't play. Anyway, it's a medieval ring. It's still got the stones in it, or the stone. It's some kind of blue stone. We haven't decided what it is yet. That's another one the museum's looking at. And we did have to leave our finds there. I hadn't gotten mine back because they do require anything over, I think, 300 years old, has to stay there. The archaeologists get time to look at it. If they're not interested at all, they'll send it back to you within a month, I think. If they're interested, they have up to 2 years to study it, but eventually it either goes back to the digger, or if they decide to keep it for a museum, they actually will pay fair market value and you get half of it, the property owner gets half. And I would love to see that system in the United States. Now, like I say, when I was there, I actually tore my boots up because I was kicking up sand all the time, and it just eventually tore them up. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, I've had them for several years, they've seen better days, I'm just gonna throw them away, keep from taking them back. Well, I threw them away, and Andy and John, who are our two guides, they're like, mate, what are you throwing them away for? Just get some duct tape. I'm like, well, I don't want to take them back. Oh, well, we'll keep something to remember you by. And they created what they're calling the Shrine of the Boot. And I swear they have shared it all over Facebook. They've got pictures like this. They've got some black and white ones where they say that you can see ghosts in the background of it and stuff. And the legend is if you touch the boots, you'll either have extremely good luck or get an unknown infection. So that is what I left, the American culture I left in England. God help us all. And let me see if there's any more pictures we possibly can do here. I think that's it. And I apologize so much, but tell you what, let's just power off. I'll take any questions that people have, except why this projector won't work.
What was the metal of that ring?
What's that?
What was the metal content of that ring?
It was actually bronze. We thought it was silver at first, but they determined it's bronze. So, you'd have liked it, Mike.
I would have liked it.
You'd have liked it. It wasn't in water though. But it was beautiful. I mean, that stone, the fact that the stone was still in there was just gorgeous.
Did y'all find any World War II stuff?
Yeah, I found a hat badge, that silver grenadiers, I think, hat badge. And also found a little stud of some kind, but it says RA on it for Royal Artillery. And they did fight some World War II battles right where we were added there. I've got a few bullets that may be World War II, I don't know. But they thought I was crazy for keeping them, but I wanted to keep those.
Was that near the English Channel?
It was actually near the North Sea, I believe, in the northern part. It was about a 4-hour drive outside of London.
Okay.
And they provided a shuttle for us to get there. And it was out in the middle of the booties. I mean, it was just, why they filmed detectors there, I don't know, but it's a good location because there's a lot of stuff in the ground. Any other questions? Yeah.
How do we jump on a trip like that next
Well,
year?
we're hoping, I say hoping, I'm negotiating with them right now to let us all come back, and they've got so many hunt fields there. And here's the thing, they only allow 4 groups of 12 people a year to come. They started doing it last year. So the stuff is just, it's still quite a bit of it there. We're going to, if it works out and we're able to do it, We're gonna announce it in the January issue of the magazine. We'll also put it on Facebook, and then it'll be first come, first served. You basically get in touch with them, and then they line up the trip, tell you everything about it, and you go from there, and they'll take the first 12. Yeah.
What's roughly the cost for the, plane tickets, just the total cost?
Oh, man, it's expensive. We're still paying our bill off, but, the plane tickets, of course, now we took Delta because at my son's advice, if you're gonna fly that far, try to pay a little extra to be comfortable, cause it's a rough flight. I think for my wife and myself, it was around 2,000 and something for the plane tickets. And then the hunt was, I believe, 1,500 a head, 1,400, 1,500 a head, something like that. That includes all meals and everything, lodging and everything, but it's an expensive trip, that's for sure. So, anybody else?
How long were y'all there?
We were there 3 days. It's only a 3-day hunt. Now, they have a lot of the British hunts, English hunts that are a full week. But I'll be honest with you, after 3 days, I don't think I could have hunted another 2 days, 3 days. I mean, I was done. I wound up laying down out in the field, which I've been known to do anyway, but this time I actually went to sleep. So, yeah.
Did you take out travel insurance?
Yes, did.
I would recommend that if anybody
Yeah,
goes.
I do. I
Because
recommend.
Twice my wife and I, and one time she had to have her hip replaced, another time COVID came, and we got our money back except for our fee.
And if you don't do that, you're kind of just out in the cold with it.
All your money's gone.
It is. And so plan ahead on this. Also, if you go over there, be sure and get some plug adapters because their electrical outlets are different than ours. So ours will not work there.
What did you take equipment wise?
I took my Deus 2 and my Deus 1.
What about digging equipment?
They actually provided the equipment to dig with, but when I got over there, they're used to people, their tours that they've had so far are people that are not really detectorists. So when we got over there, they had all these little short shovels, and I looked at that, and I looked at the guy, I says, we gotta have some shovels. So they rounded us up some full-length spades. And they're like, if you don't have your own detectors, we have some. They had some Garrett Aces over there, and I'm like, no, this group knows what they're doing. And when we left, Andy told me, he said, y'all are the first group we've had here that knew how to detect. So, and we found a ton of stuff.
Spend that much money, I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've heard some of these groups that, they take people every year and probably back to the same field. And, you may not be able to answer this, but I've heard that some of them may plant some coins, throw some coins out there.
I've heard that,
Is there any way, you feel like everything was?
oh yeah, where we were at, it was natural. I don't doubt that at all because 9 out of 10 targets were crap. If they were gonna plant stuff, they'd have planted more good stuff. It's like hunting here, if you get one good target out of 10, you're doing good. And some of these places, the ones that'll go to the same fields over and over, I do wonder that because, a field cannot continue to give. But this, I think I was told like they have close to 1,000 acres or something that's owned by this one family. The guy's what do you call it, a sir, or a knight or whatever they do. He got walked on the shoulders with a sword and all that. But, so the reason they started doing these detectors, they were not allowing any detectors. He didn't want any detectors because like the gold coin, it's like, well, that's part of my heritage. I don't want to see it go. But when COVID hit, they got in trouble financially. And they were looking for ways to try to make money. And somebody said, hey, start, charging people to come metal detecting. That's why they're limited it to 4 trips a year, is because they don't want to overdo it. And if we were to go back and only hunt the fields that we hunted, I have no doubt we'd find just as much as we did this time. Because usually we were only in one field for one day. But the guy who was driving me around and actually showed me where they filmed detectors and all, he was pointing out, he's like, Yeah, that field there, that's a Viking camp, that's Sir Edward's property. This field over here is, we think that was a village, that's Sir Edward's property. Because Andy and John, the two guys that work for him, actually have hunted those places off and on. He wouldn't let them go a lot, but they went enough, to know what was there. And, seems like there's plenty of area. Yeah,
What is the detectors you keep talking about?
what's that?
What is it, a show?
Oh, yeah, it's on, what, I don't, it's BBC, I think. Or whatever the English channel is. But it's, Debbie, you are a detective. This girl here has watched it like 12 times.
At least.
Can you explain to him what that show is? It's the most
It's-
realistic
Yeah,
detective show ever.
it's a British series. They did three seasons of it.
That ain't Dr.
Eh,
Tones, is it?
Uh-uh.
Okay.
No. And
It's actually a
basically,
TV
it's a
show.
story of two men who are friends, and just their relationship and all the they have the Gainsborough Metal Detecting Club, DMDC, and there's like 7 members.
Seven members of
Yeah.
it. And they
And
even
they're-
have a talk one day on them pull tabs. how
Pull
to take
tabs,
pull
yeah,
tabs.
it's
You have to take it with a grain of salt.
yeah,
do.
it's
But
very
you'll watch it and
humorous,
you'll
but
say, oh
it's-
my God, that's just like us.
Yeah.
How did the fake coins come into play?
They actually have one scene in there where, do they actually find the gold coins, Debbie?
No, well, the scene is that it's like a sequence where they kind of go back in time and they show how how it looked back in the time when they were buried, and it was someone had died and they were burying his riches, and then over the years they kind of go forward back in time, and then it shows a man on a tractor plowing this field, and the gold coins are just coming up as he's plowing. That's how the coins came into play. And a big focus of the show is magpies, the birds, the magpies, and they
There
would
are a
come
lot
down and
around
pick
there.
the coins up as they were coming up out of the ground, and they were carrying them up into that big oak tree.
The
And
oak
there's a
tree that
nest
was
up
shown
there,
here.
yeah, and the magpies were putting all the coins in the tree. And and
And these
it-
guys,
it's
when
a-
they-
it was a really well thought out series.
When they found the gold coins, he did not even realize that's where detectives had been filmed. It was only after the fact, the guy that permission they had is like, yeah, well, they filmed detectives here. And I think that's when they found out they were fake, because I didn't hold one of them, but he said something didn't feel right about them. But you start digging what looks like gold coins, you're gonna convince yourself they're gold. And he said in their mind, they had already bought a Ferrari and a Mercedes and
Debbie, I've got a club badge from them,
Really?
off of their club.
Yeah. Well,
Thank
I've
you.
got one of their stickers
All
on my
right, sure,
car.
it's
I've
on,
got a
I
patch.
recommend
Yeah,
that
I've
show
got
to
a patch.
anyone though, because out of all the detecting shows ever done, the reality shows, all that stuff, this one is fictional, but you'll look at it and go, wow, that's what I do.
That's,
So,
yeah, it's very.
I mean, when you think about somebody having a display of pull
Yes,
tabs.
BAFTA awards, yeah. Yeah,
And
it's
there's
one
one
bunch of.
scene where one of the fellas actually digs up a World War II bomb and it explodes.
Yeah,
And he's got the shrapnel in his leg.
In his
And there's
leg.
one fella that I guess he's Hindu, but he's this kid that's getting into metal detecting, Indian. And he loves military stuff, so he goes in the hospital visiting the guy, and he asks him, when they take out the shrapnel, can I have it? So, it's things like that, but it's a great show. Anybody else? Anybody wanna know why I couldn't get the slide projector running? I don't know. It worked last year.
Where do you watch that detector's show on? What kind of, is it on?
It's on Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix.
And you can also, I think you can access it through YouTube. I'm not certain, but I think you can. There are 3 seasons. I highly recommend it. I've watched it
It's
twice.
funny, one of the meetings, they did a talk on buttons. and
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny. that
Yes.
They were having a talk on
Yeah.
buttons.
That's right, yeah. It's just a hilarious show. I mean, it's British humor, so they aren't laughing at themselves, but you're laughing at them.
Well, Butch, we really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it, and I really
That was
apologize.
nice.
Hey, it is what it is. Thank Come by and see us at the show tomorrow and get a subscription to the magazine or pick up some books, or we've even got relics there.
How much is a year subscription to the magazine?
$39.95.
$39.95.
And that's on 6 issues a year, and we pride ourselves on, I had somebody on Facebook recently. Are you paper magazine? Yes, I mean, you see it, we're a real magazine that gets delivered to your door. You can get a digital version if you want to, but, you know, most of us prefer the actual paper version. And not to be indelicate, but I tell people as far as digital, which is cheaper, dropping a magazine in a toilet or your cell phone? Better leave with that, I suppose.
There's actually forms up on the table up there,
Yeah.
if anybody wants to pick one up and.
But thank y'all for inviting me, I really appreciate it.